Hi, this is Ali Arango of ArangoDigitalProduction.com, and today I'm going to show you a tutorial on how to animate drawings or sketches inside of Blender. I think this is a pretty cool technique. I haven't really seen any tutorials that I can think of that show this, and it's not too complicated. So let's get started. Today this tutorial is going to take place inside of GIMP and inside of Blender. If you don't know, GIMP is a free alternative to Photoshop. Very good program, and you can download it for free. All right, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to File, Open, find yourself a drawing that you drew or that somebody else drew. I'm going to use a drawing today by Joe Madore, one of my favorite artists. Once your drawing's in, click your layer panel or your layer, duplicate your layer. This you can go back in case you mess something up. For myself, I'm going to go to Colors, then Curves, put a dot here, pull, and all I'm doing is just making the sketch pencil marks a little bit darker. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to take your lasso tool and you're just going to quickly separate the limbs so they can be animated when we get in the Blender. So I'm just going to draw around this arm right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Edit, Cut, Edit, Paste into. You'll see this floating layer pop up over here. And all you're going to do is just hit New Layer. If you want to get rid of these lines, because sometimes they'll cause things to go out of whack, just hold Control, Shift, and A, and you'll deselect. So now that we have this arm here, I'm just going to name this right arm so it's easy to track. Select back on the main layer, go back to your loop tool, and grab the head. Edit, cut, edit, paste into, new layer, name it head, select the main layer, I'm going to hit Control Shift A to get rid of that. And I'm going to grab this arm and the weapon, edit, cut, edit, paste into, new layer, name this right arm. Select the main layer, back to the lasso tool, and grab this waist right here. Very loose. Edit, cut, edit, paste into, name this okay. Now I'm going to show you just how to get my way of getting rid of the white around one of these limbs very quickly. And basically your best way is you're going to select the layer, right click on it, hit Add Layer Mask. This panel will pop up. You're going to hit White Full Opacity. Add. You'll see this little panel right here. Make sure you're selected on here. And what you're going to do is basically what's going to happen is wherever you can use the bracket keys, both bracket keys to make your cursor bigger in GIMP. Wherever I draw black, it'll take away. So I want to get rid of this this white here, so I'm drawing black. Suppose I mess up, I go like that. I can easily go and switch to white because with layer mask, black takes away, and well, at least in the layer mask setting that I have with the white full opacity, black takes away and white adds. So now I just switch to white, and there you go. So what I'm going to do is kind of quickly, you're using a soft brush, whether you're doing this in GIMP or Photoshop, the same technique will work. We're very, very similar. To be honest, it's amazing that GIMP is as good as it is. I was trained how to use Photoshop in school, and I actually was a teacher, a design teacher, where I taught the full Adobe suite and 3ds Max, some other good stuff like that. And Sometimes I had to be careful to make sure I said Photoshop and didn't say GIMP, because to me they're so similar. Sometimes my mind would just say GIMP, and I was like, my bosses definitely would not want to hear me say that as I was teaching the Adobe suite. Anyway, yeah, so you can just want to go try to get this done fairly quickly. There's all kinds of techniques of doing this stuff. That's one of the cool things about art. This is just my particular way. Okay, once you have this to a decent level, what you're going to do is here is the image and the mask. What you're going to want to do is go layer with everything else hidden by having the eye not selected. You're going to go layer, new from visible. Then you're going to hide this, and now you have this PNG right here, just a PNG without the mask on it. Then you're going to go File, Export. And one of the differences between GIMP and Photoshop is you can't save as a PNG. You have to export it. So essentially it's saying the same thing. But if you just go to File, Save, you'll save a GIMP file. What you're going to want to do is get File, Export, then come here to it says Select by File Type. You're just going to look down through this list and click PNG and then hit Export. Okay, here in Blender, what you're going to do is delete this cube by hitting X. Now, one of the things you're going to want to make sure that you have set up is import images as planes, I believe it's called. So you're going to go to File, User Preferences. This is going to pop up. You're going to click Add-ons, and you're going to look down. It should be. Where's that? There we go. Import images as plain. So you're just going to click that. You're going to hit save user settings. And one other thing, if you're not used to Blender, this is your first time using this program, I would recommend that you go File, User Preferences, come over to Input, and just change where it says Select Width left or right. By default, when you come into Blender, typically it's with right. If you change it to select, basically Blender will work and select just like any other Adobe program or 3ds Max or most other 3D programs. So you would just save user settings, and there you go. Okay, so now you have that done. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go to File, Import, Images as Planes. You're going to, where am I at? Here we go. All right, now you're going to find the different images that you have. You can actually grab a box and bring them all in. So I'm just going to drag out my chest, head, left arms, right arm. Okay, so. Oh, I'm about to make a mistake. Before you bring these things in, this panel right here, one of the things you want to do is hit material settings for your images. Is basically right here. You want to hit shades, use alpha, also pre-multiplied, and I believe transparency. I think. Let's see. We'll see if it works out right. They'll come in and we'll be able to see the transparency. So anyway, we're going to grab here now these things right there. Import as planes. Now you'll see them lined up right there. You're going to click right here and change this to textured. Yep, and I got what we wanted. So since these are all selected, now you're going to hit R for rotate, X on the X-axis, 90, just to get them to stand up. And then even though they're spread out like that, now you can just go up to pan your screen. I'm gonna hold Shift, then my middle mouse button, hold it in and pull. And now what I'm going to do is just click here. I'm then going to use the, let me go to, on your number keypad, hit 1 and then 5. And this goes into orthographic mode. And basically what that means is you are totally to the front. Like you're not in a 3D view or whatever, in a sense, and this will make it easier. So now what you're going to do is just click your different objects and you can just pull them right over. There's your chest. Here's the arm. leg. Okay, now that you have that, we can zoom in here. I'm going to hold shift, middle mouse button just to pan it in. Okay, now what you're going to do is you are going to name these so you know where they're at. So hit the N key to bring up this other menu. And one of the ways you can see what you're working with, see right there's the right arm. By coming over to this panel and hitting this eye, you can see it disappear and you'll know where you're kind of at. So what you're going to do now is we're going to name this right arm. There's the waist and the legs. So we'll come over here, name this waist and legs. Left arm. Left arm. Get the head there. And it's just a good practice to always name, what is this? Oh, there's the chest. Okay, name this the chest. It's good practice to always name your things. I used to when I first started doing design. I didn't like to name things, and trust me, it's okay. Basically, what I want you guys to get from this is just the basics, so hopefully you can carry it on more in the future. Now, this gets a little complicated, but not too much. Basically, in Blender, wherever you have your cursor, I just right-click to get this to pop up. Wherever I right-click, you'll see this cursor will go. Now, wherever this cursor is, a new object that I bring into the world will come there. So right now, we're in object mode. There's huge differences in Blender between object and edit mode. So you want to make sure you're in object mode. Now, what you're going to do is hit Shift-A. Right, this menu pops up. I want you to go to Empty, and then we'll use Circle. All right, in Blender, circle, this is basically this is an empty, and what this means is this is a non-renderable object, and what we're going to do is use this object to control the entire body of this. It sounds more complicated than it is. I'm going to hit S to scale and put this down near the bottom. So I hit S to scale and just put that in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to we'll name this body mover. Oops. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to select the chest. You're going to hold shift, head, left arm, right arm, and then you're going to select the body mover last. All right. I held shift and that's how I selected them. Now I'm going to hit Control P. And we're going to hit set parent. That brings up the set parent to option box. And we're going to hit object. So basically what this is now, whenever we select this, oops, I didn't select the arms and the legs, so we're going to select that again to there, hit Control P again, and now basically what this is, this body mover is empty. Wherever we move this, all right, now what we're going to do is we're going to, and you see how the objects disappears because they're parent to this, it goes away. Just hit this so they don't show up. You're going to hit this plus right here and you'll see them pop right back. Now we can have other things parented. So what we're going to want to do now is we're going to want to actually take the left arm and right arm and then parent them to the chest. So you want to select the objects that are going to be parented, and basically all we're trying to do with this whole parent thing is we're trying to be able to move one object and have the other objects follow. So the thing that you want them to follow, you want to select last. So that's the chest. And Blender remembers what you selected last. We're going to hit Control P, and then you'll see that set parent to object, and then we're going to hit Keep Transform. Now Keep Transform. Now what that did is when we're selected on this chest, now what we can do is we can have this chest look like it's heaving up and down. And matter of fact, we're going to go and select the head. Hold shift, grab the chest, hit Control P. And when you're doing Control P, make sure that you're back over this the main screen area, because Blender does if you're trying to do things over here, you'll notice that Blender will change depending, like control page, just without getting into it, just trust me, just do it over here. All right, anyway, suppose we want to have this awesome, cool looking warrior guy, you know, his chest like heaving, all right? So now we can do is we can select this chest heaving, and we can kind of do, we'll be able to do a keyframe, and it's like a very simple animation like that, you know? So, to set a keyframe for an animation in Blender, it's very cool. Is awesome how they do it. I mean, Blender has so many things that are spectacular to it. It's unbelievable. Anyway, this is one of them. To set a basic keyframe, all right, just right here down on the bottom, so you understand what's going on. This is your timeline, all right. As we play a scene, you'll see this green bar move through this timeline. So this timeline is how we set the animation. So you set an animation here. You set the figure here, and then you set a keyframe here, and then you would, you know, move in the timeline, and then change the position, and then Blender interpolates the different frames. And it's best for you to see it done rather than to explain it. So what we'll do is we'll do like a little chest heave thing, right? So first thing we'll do, make sure we're selected on chest. Then we're gonna hit I, and it's just easiest just to see this thing right here. When this is the insert keyframe menu. It's just easiest for us to just hit location, rotation, scale is what that stands for. So click there. You'll see a little yellow thing pop up here. And what that is Blender's telling you a keyframe has just been set there. So now we're going to right click, pull forward. We'll pull forward, I don't know. We're at 24 frames a second. So we'll pull forward about 1 second. So now what we'll do is we'll move this chest up. And we'll move it down just a little bit. So then we hit I, and then location, rotation, scale again, right? Move it forward again. Doesn't have to be exact. We'll move it to about 40. We'll keep it on right on these lines so you can see what's going on. So now we'll move him back up. Hit location I, then location, rotation, scale again. And now you should see that right there? He's basically breathing. And what's really cool, well, I don't know if I should get this. You know what? I'm not going to get. You know what? If you guys want to see something, my brain is like thinking just the absolute coolness of what can be done with. I mean, here we are, guys. We're animating a drawing. I mean, you can take drawings. I mean, you know, most of the time when you think Blender, you think, oh, this super complicated stuff, and it has awesome stuff, complicated stuff. But man, you can come into Blender and use a simple drawing and make it look cool. And I'm not. If you guys want to see more on this, you know, comment, and I can show you some really cool stuff. But for now, we'll keep it simple. So we've got him going up, down. So then we'll go to right here, and then we'll bring him down a little bit. I to insert keyframe, location, rotation, scale. That will take him forward a little bit more. We'll put it, move up a little bit. Hit I, insert keyframe, location, rotation, scale again. I'm left clicking, and then we'll do it one more time, and then we'll bring him down. I, location, rotation, scale, and now you see, yeah, there he's kind of breathing. So now what we'll do, and that's just a little simple thing. Now we'll have him raise his arms out, right? All right, so we'll take it to about here. This is pretty cool. I thought this was kind of stinking awesome, actually. Anyway, come back over. This next thing is what I'm talking about. We're going to come back over to where we have the chest, right? Now we see the arms in here. Now we can move the arms without messing anything up. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to take that right arm, move out to the side. So you're going to select that. Now before you Okay, now with that 3D cursor, what you're going to do is, again, make sure you have the right arm. You can hit the I to make sure it's right. You're going to right click right where this joint would be for the arm. All right, so what that's going to do now is this arm is going to pivot off of that 3D cursor. So all you're going to do is hit R. Wait a second. Okay, whoops. crap. Wait a second. There we go. So you're going to hit R. Make sure you're in R before at the chest. That's where you see that mess up. And you see this raising out to the side, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit I for location, rotation, scale. And now when we go back on the timeline, crap. Okay, he has his arm out, and we actually don't want it out there. So we wanted him to lift up his arm. So what we're going to do is come back here, and we're actually going to move this arm. That was my mistake. We're going to move it back down here, and now we're going to hit I, location, rotation, scale, and now he'll do what we want. So you see him, breathing, and then rah! He lifts his arm up, ready to fight. And we'll sit there. We'll bring, while we're at it, we're going to keep this other arm. We'll hit click this arm. We're going to hit I to insert a keyframe, location, rotation, scale. All right, and then we're going to move forward where this arm comes up, and then we'll make the other arm raise up. So see how this arm is pivoting on this right here, this 3D cursor pinpoints. You're going to click right here, all right, right on where the joint's going to be. Now you're hitting R for rotate, and this arm is also coming up, all right. So now when it comes up, you're going to hit I to insert keyframe, location, rotation, scale. So now you see when it looks a little bit funky there, a little bit weird how it is there, but we can deal with that. So he's breathing heavily, right? All right, so now he raises his arms up. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see some of the things you can do, but right now we're looking at this almost like it's a 2D program. It almost looks like we're still in GIMP or Photoshop, right? But we are in a 3D program, people. And yes, that makes me excited because you know what it means? It means we can do awesome stuff. Like you can roll your mouse wheel back and then you can pivot your character because yes, you are in 3D. So I'm going to hit 1 just to get back. And now we're going to do some very cool things and not have this tutorial drag on forever. But now what we're going to do is we're going to File, Import, and you can grab again your own drawing or drawing as a particular drawing you might want. We're going to grab and throw a background into this. So you click right here. See how these images, you can't see what they are. You click this little 4-pin panel thing, you'll see these things pop up right here. So I'm going to bring in this ancient castle thing, and like because I am in a front orthographic scale, you can see here is the image right here. So what you're going to do is hit R for rotate, X 90, and then that will flip the image. You're going to take your mouse, spin it into a 3D view so you can see it. You can see I'm pushing it back right there, and then what we'll do is actually let's okay, we have that. Do I have floor in there? Yep, there we go. So here's a floor I'm going to bring in right here, and I just think this is pretty cool because it's there's people that don't have an interest in getting in 3D, like God does Blender tutorials, whatever. I really don't have much of an interest in that. I'm going to switch this back to medium. Normal Blender pivot point is on medium point, and you're better off switching it back when you're not animating a character. But anyway, I'm going to bring in this floor and just position it kind of like right underneath him. I'm now selecting this background. I'm going to hit S to scale it. I'm scaling it up even bigger. Now I'm just going to look around to see where everything's at. And now what we can do is I'm actually going to hit circle on the number pad to see what the camera sees. All right, to position this camera without getting into some crazy 3D controls, I'm actually hoping this tutorial draws some people into Blender that don't even particularly want to think about using 3D. But hey, if you're an artist or you have a friend that draws or has a great artist, I mean, man, you can do some awesome stuff. Little short, quick animations and inside of Blender, even without getting into really. Okay, once this lock camera view is on, now when you grab the middle mouse button, your camera will actually let you pretty easily adjust your image So I'm in the camera viewpoint. And then if you want to get out of the camera view, like here, I like how this is stationed right here. I'm going to unclick this lock camera. And now when I move the middle mouse button, you can see the camera here in the position I put it in from lock camera, but now I can move without it because what I'm going to actually, you know what, I'll show you guys this. You can, in Blender, if I grab this, and then yeah, it's getting a little bit more complicated, grab that little thing and pull it over, now you can have two windows, right? And what's cool about this, I'm going to hit N to take this menu away, and then T to take this menu away. But while I have my mouse over this viewpoint, I'm going to hit 0. Now what this is doing, this is giving me a camera viewpoint. So what I want to do here, and it's cool because you can see I can still keep my views. I'm going to actually increase the size of this so it takes up most of that full camera and just pull it up a little bit. Just a very cool way of adjusting things for the camera perspective. Now we want to make this camera able to move easily, all right, in here. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to zoom in here. I'm going to right click, just how I was right clicking on the character before, and I'm going to look around in 3D to make sure it's where I want. So I'm going to zoom here up, and I'm just holding the middle mouse button and rotating to get this, looking around. And now what I want to do is I want to bring another empty in, and for this, okay, now that you have this empty here, what you're going to do now is you're going to hit Shift A. Oops. Wait a second. We're going to hit Shift A just like before. We're going to bring in another empty. This time we'll just let it be a plain axis thing. Okay, so now with this empty in here, and the empty you can see is selected here, we'll name this camera target. And what you're going to do now is you're going to zoom out so you can see the camera. You're going to select the camera first. Wait a second. All right, so I like the camera first, and a lot of times it's easier to select the empty over here in this menu. So you're going to hold Shift, select the camera target. Now you're going to hit Control T while being over the viewport, and you're going to hit Track to Constraint. So now basically what happens when you click on this camera and you move, you see in the other panel, the camera stays focused right on that empty. All right. So now we can do a few more cool things. Actually, I'm going to increase the size of this so it comes off the camera, and then we'll let's throw in another creature here. Import. We'll just pull in another image. Here we go. So I'm going to hit, here's the image right here that popped in. I'm going to hit R for rotate on the x-axis, 9, 0. Left click to lock in. Now what I'm going to do is just grab this out. And we got like a T-Rex. I guess that's a T-Rex right there. I think Jerome Moore. And we can do a cool little, thing. Like I said, this is, what I like about this is it's actually, I mean, you can be an artist and, just by putting, like we have the, T-Rex right there. Now we can click here to select the camera. You can see it's selected because it's orange. And now you can see when you pull the camera, you can see there's some of that cool 3D-ness of it. So actually what we're going to do here is we're going to actually keyframe this camera. So what we'll do is we'll zoom out here a little bit more. I'm actually going to grab the camera and push it in some. So there we go. So let's see, without the camera moving, you can see our guy. You can see some artifact in there, but you can see him doing his thing. So what we'll actually do is I'm just hitting the right mouse button, the right mouse button, and that's how I'm moving the timeline. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just staring in this window right here. So we're going to set this up. I'm just looking to see how I want this. And the reason why he's moving like that, you see how he's blinking kind of like that, is because what I should have done was pushed the arms a little bit forward and back. That's why you see that blinking, because they're kind of like right on top of each other. Basically we have, he's breathing. So what we'll do actually is get even a little bit closer. And again, the camera is staring at that empty. That's why it's allowing me to move it while it's still up there. So what we can do is, now we're just like we keyframed for the body, we're going to hit I to insert a keyframe. And then we'll move the timeline. Whereas his arm's up. I'm actually going to move the camera just to get a little bit of motion. I'm going to hit I to insert the keyframe. I'll move a little bit more, pull the camera back. Actually, I'll pull it up first, then back. So you can see what he's about to fight. Actually, I like that movement, but see how if I move the camera, if I don't lock the keyframe in, as soon as I move the time frame indicator, and so I'll move this down just a little bit more, so it's 24 frames a second, so I'll give it a little bit longer time frame. Now we'll pull this up like before and pull this back. You can see it's kind of, should be like a kind of little cool thing. There's the dinosaur like coming into action, so you can see what the warrior's about to fight. Then we'll hit I to insert a keyframe, location, rotation, scale, move the timeline a little bit again, a little bit more, maybe a slower pan, and we'll just move on the manipulator, have it, and you can see just even like the coolness of having it be in 3D. We'll have it kind of like spin, so you can, let me move it in a little bit, keep it in the frame. Oh, don't want it coming out. There we go. So we'll hit there. I insert keyframe, location, rotation, scale, and this is what, 210. And see right here, this shows you where your indicator's at. So this is 208. So this is where you have your time frame of your movie. So what I'm going to do here is just put my cursor over here, hit Control C to copy, click in here, hit Control V, and it'll put the time frame indicator in here. Now we can click here to rewind it and hit play, and you'll see kind of how everything's going to be right through there. Okay, I didn't want to put it on here because this video is already starting to get long, but basically if you take a look at this guy right here, what I did was I stopped the recording and went back. See how I separated his waist and his arms just a little bit. You can see over top. So when you come in and you go to do your 2D drawing that you brought in to animate, just make sure you have just a little teeny bit of space in between so that it doesn't have that flickering that you saw. And now you can come through, you'll see on the camera view now, when I over on this side, you can see that now you don't see that that flickering, just because the planes that have the images aren't on top of each other. And one last thing to render this out, what you would do is you come to this panel right here, make sure you're clicked on this little camera symbol right here for your display. Normally in Blender, this thing that says image editor, what happens is once you hit animation, it would change this one of these windows to the window showing your actual animation rendering out or putting out. So I would recommend that you actually change this to new window, and a separate window will open up showing you the animation. Typically, most of the time I shoot my videos, I have them at or I export videos, I have them at 720p. So what I would do for myself is just go right here, click this HDTV 720p. It's at 24 frames a second right now, and by default Blender is set up to export as PNGs, which is a good way of exporting long windows out. But just to get a movie that you can take out or show to your friends, pop up on YouTube, what you would do is you would just click here, go to H.264. There's many different settings. I recommend you do this one, H264 right here. You're not done yet. Now you're going to go down to Format, and I would recommend pick MPEG 4 format. Now, if you want to put sound, if you're doing something later on when you have sound, right now I have no codec in here, but to add sound, what I would recommend is you go here to audio codec, click here, and then you would just change this to MP3. And then once you have all that done, what would happen is you would then just go to, let me make sure. Wait a second. Copy. Okay, sorry about that. Now what you would do is you would just go up. Now you have your setting to 720p. You've got your frame rate that you want. You make sure that you have your H264 format, and then you have your format to MPEG 4, and then you have your MP3. After all that, what you would do is just come up here to animation, and this window will pop out, and here you can actually see the actual movie render. So that's it for animating drawings and inside of Blender. I hope you guys got something out of that. I hope that some people who wouldn't normally think of dealing with Blender because they're not interested, particularly in 3D modeling, would take a look at this tutorial and realize that, hey, if you're a good artist, if you want to put some movement to your artwork, you can come to Blender and do some amazing things. So I hope you guys like this video. The subscribers that I just got recently have inspired me to do this video and more. I really appreciate it. If you guys are new to this channel and you like this video, you like seeing this kind of stuff, and you want to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.